comments updating us on the timeline that occurred on Saturday and the reentry of Columbia and some other items for you, and then we'll throw it open for questions. I have 1 hour for today's briefing, so we'll try to get to as many questions as we can today. With that, I'll turn it over to Ron.
As you know, our recovery efforts are beginning to really pick up steam. The coordination amongst all the engineering teams and outside agencies is really looking good. It's beginning to come together. We are making progress, but it's a massive job. And it takes all of our attention on a daily basis. We are still working 24 hours a day in many areas, gathering information, reviewing our engineering analysis, and planning for the future on what we need to do both in the coming days and coming weeks. Identifying the items that are being recovered is time-consuming. It's difficult, but as we met with our people in the field today, we understand that the process of collecting the debris and relocating it to our staging areas is really picking up steam, and I think that's going to progress rapidly over the next couple of days. As of yet, I still do not have any recovered items of any special significance. However, we have put in place a process whereby if we identify something that we believe to be significant, we will red tag that particular piece of debris and immediately send our engineering and technical people to review it. Literally hundreds of people are involved around the state and hundreds supporting in many different locations. I mentioned to you again the National Guard, the local law enforcement, state officials, FEMA, EPA, FBI, NASA officials. Just a large cooperative effort that is working well to try to help us understand the cause of the loss of the Columbia and its precious crew. Today I intend to give you additional updates and technical data. I know there's a lot of information or a lot of interest in the analysis that we performed during the mission on the debris impact to the wing, and I will talk to you a little bit more about that today. I also have some information that some additional information on the timeline as far as what happened and when, and I'll update you on those events. But before I get into that, I would like to take some time and talk about the members of this team. As I've watched them respond to the events that unfolded on Saturday morning, at all times it was a group of individuals, certainly with sadness and disbelief in their eyes, but never a hint of panic. These men and women performed flawlessly, recognizing that they had lost members of their family, as we treat the crew members in this community. They continue to stay at their post and do the jobs that we needed them to do. I'm extremely proud of the members of our team all across the country. A wise person told me a long time ago that true character is revealed when you come face to face with reality and when you come face to face with adversity. And certainly these last few days have been a real challenge on us personally. But I couldn't be more proud of the team. Under difficult and adverse circumstances, they have performed in the highest manner, and they continue to do so. Tomorrow, as you know, we're going to pause and reflect upon the crew of Columbia, their lives, their contributions, their memory. And although we cannot stop our investigation and the recovery effort, we will pause in this location to take the time to reflect upon their lives, their sacrifice. It's a day of remembering. It's a day of remembering our friends. And for us, it's a day of mourning. Out of respect for the crew and their families, I will not do a press conference tomorrow. I will meet again with you the day following. If there is any significant events that occur, we will alert you to those events. That will be done out of NASA headquarters. But for us, tomorrow is a day for our reflection and a day for us to pause from these activities for a small time. Let me talk to you a little bit about the timeline and update you on some of the changes that from yesterday. I'm going to run right down the timeline as I did yesterday, and I'll try to identify the specific engineering information that has changed. At 7:52 a.m. Central Standard Time, I believe I started yesterday at 7:53. I'm going to back up 1 minute. At 7:52 a.m., we have identified that 3 left main gear brake line temperatures showed an unusual temperature rise. This was the first event, the first occurrence of a significant thermal event in the wheel well on the left-hand side. At 7:53, as we were passing over California, we've identified that a 4th left brake line, strut actuator, and uplock actuator temperature measurements rose significantly. Yesterday I reported 20 to 30 degrees increase in 5 minutes. Now we believe it's more on the order of 30 to 40 degrees. At 7:55, a 5th left main gear brake line temperature showed unusual temperature rise. 7:57, as we were passing over Arizona and New Mexico, the upper and lower left wing skin temperatures failed off-scale low. At 7:59, as we were passing over West Texas, I mentioned yesterday that we had evidence of increasing drag on the left wing, that the aero surfaces were reacting to that drag to maintain our attitude and trim. We also now have identified that in addition to the aero surfaces, that the yaw jets on the right-hand side, 2 of the 4 yaw jets were firing. They fired for 1.5 seconds, again trying to help the aileron and the elevon surfaces counteract what we believe is the increasing drag. And although I said yesterday that it was well within our capability to maintain attitude, it was well within the flight control system's capability to handle the excursion, as we have continued to pore over the data, it's not the absolute value of the attitude change that is interesting. What is becoming interesting to us now is the rate of change. The aero surfaces were doing what they needed to do to counteract the drag on the left side of the vehicle. The right yaw jets had to kick in to help the aero surfaces, and it appears that we were losing ground as far as the rate of attitude excursion. It was not long after that point that we lost all data and communication with the crew. We are still looking and processing for, we're still looking for additional information. I talked to you yesterday about 32 seconds. Retrieving that data is not as easy as we originally thought. And so it may take us another day or so to extract that information and determine whether it's going to be useful to us. We also hope to go out directly to the White Sands terminal where the data comes down from the satellite directly into White Sands. It's then relayed from White Sands over to the Johnson Space Center. We're going to go directly to the White Sands equipment and see if we can extract additional data. And so that effort is continuing. So again, there is certainly an interest in the wheel well. Caution you about conclusions. A temperature increase of 30 to 40 degrees in 5 minutes within the wheel well does not indicate that we have something structurally going on. The outside temperature is above 2,000 degrees. Seeing an increase in the wheel well of 30 to 40 degrees seems to indicate that that's not the point of any large thermal excursion. That's reflecting something else. Remember, I told you yesterday we had an increase of temperature on the left side of the vehicle, on the mid-fuselage. I believe I told you 60 degrees in 5 minutes. But a delta of change in temperature of 60 degrees, again, does not represent a structural problem. So even though these things are interesting to us, we're still trying to find what caused these temperatures to increase. And given the fact that the outside temperature on the wing leading edge is 2,000 degrees, these relatively small increases in temperature are telling us something. We're just trying to find out exactly what they're trying to tell us. Did we have some type of penetration in the wing that the left main landing gear and the left mid fuselage were just reflecting an overall increase in temperature, but were not the exact point of the penetration? That's what we're trying to figure out. So you can't draw the conclusions that the left main gear or the wheel well, we had a breach there. If you had a breach there, it seems logical that the temperature would be higher than just 30 or 40 degrees from what we normally expect. But again, we're early in this investigation, and we're still poring over the data. And this is the fluid nature of the business, so be cautious about those conclusions. We are certainly trying to be cautious ourselves. I'm going to talk to you a little bit now about the tile analysis. I know there are a lot of questions about that. I'll try to go through that in a fair amount of detail to help you understand what occurred. First thing I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about the timeline, the events, when we did certain things, and when we finally concurred on it not being a problem. Launch occurred on the 16th of January. First film review occurred the following day on the 17th. The first engineering meetings occurred on the 20th. We reported to the debris assessment team on the 21st, which means the engineering teams were starting to do their work. They were trying to understand exactly what this debris was, and so they spent a day reflecting upon it, identifying the assumptions that they needed to utilize in their analysis, and they reported to our debris assessment team on the 21st. They completed an engineering analysis on the 22nd. Final engineering reviews on the 23rd and the 24th. Reported to the mission management team on the 24th and again on the 27th. Both those times reporting to the mission management team, the conclusion was that the debris that impacted the vehicle did not represent a threat to the safety of the crew or the vehicle. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the assumptions used in our analysis, because I've heard a lot of discussion in the last day concerning those assumptions. The size of the debris utilized in our assumptions was 20 inches by 16 inches by 6 inches, and the weight was 2.67 pounds. The The size was determined in two ways. One, we looked at the film and we estimated to the best of our ability the size of the debris. Secondly, we utilized the information that we gained on STS 112, where we had debris from the same area shed from the tank. The difference on 112 was that we had the film that the flight crew shot of the tank after the main engine cut off and after ET separation, and as the ET was separating away from the orbiter, the crew was able to take pictures of the tank, and we clearly identified where the debris came from. And because of those photographs, we were able to understand the size of the debris that departed from the tank. We knew the size and the location, and that's why we could tell you it was from that bipod region. And based upon those photographs, we determined that the size of the debris, being somewhat conservative, was what I told you, 20 inches by 16 by 6. And the mass of that particular piece of debris, again, determined based on the density of that size of debris. As we performed the analysis, we looked at different incident angles. The debris is not going to hit the underside of the wing at a 90-degree angle. It's coming from the tank in the orbital relationship. If I can use this model for a second. The tank debris is coming from here. It's transporting down to the bottom of the vehicle at a slight incident angle, and it's going to impact the wing and come off. It's not going to hit directly 90 degrees. So as it comes into the wing, you have to calculate how much energy it has depending on the mass and the size. So that's very important to us. We looked at incident angles varying from 10 degrees, 13, and 16 degrees. Again, trying to bound our analysis. We varied the weight of the debris, again trying to bound it. We utilized a program, a tool that we have, that we've used many, many times to predict the penetration of any coating or the penetration of any tile based upon this debris. And this, we know from test and we know from previous flight experience that this particular tool over-predicts damage to the bottom of the vehicle, to tile or to the wing leading edge. We've used it in the past when we have shed debris. We have used its results, its predictions, and compared it to actual flight experience when the vehicle returned, and we were able to measure the debris. So we know that it over-predicts. It also has some conservatism in the model itself. I won't go into those details. I haven't got those all captured for you yet. But I wanted to give you that background. As we completed the analysis, trying again to understand, as we normally do, the worst case, we looked at two primary, well, we looked at more than two, but the two worst cases were the loss of a single tile near the main landing gear door, and we also looked at the loss of multiple tile, not that we lost the entire tile, but we lost a portion of the tile in a larger area. And the area we looked at was 32 inches by approximately 7 inches, approximately 2 inches. So our model was predicting that we could have damage to the bottom of the wing near the left main gear door, and on other areas, both predominantly outboard from the main landing gear door to the tip of the wing, depending on the incident angle and depending on the size or mass of the debris. So it varies. For the loss of a single tile at the main landing gear door, and for the other case where you had more acreage damaged, the 32 by 7 by 2 inch area. In both those cases, the analysis predicted that even though you might have structural damage, and what I mean by structural damage is localized heating where you may have some effect on the basic structure in that area. Even though you might have localized structural damage, you would not have damage sufficient to cause a catastrophic event, nor impact the flying qualities of the vehicle. Now today we are also going to release to you our daily mission evaluation room reports. I believe we have 15 reports, and you can read through those reports, and it will reflect a lot about what I have just told you, probably in less detail than what I just shared with you. So why don't we stop at that point and give you a chance to ask me some questions. And again, I'm sharing with you information, as much information as I have available, and again ask for your indulgence as we change this information from day to day.